So we're getting back to actual real life. As some of you are parents, you probably know that summers are weird. All the times are weird when you work for yourself, but summers are completely weird. So we're going to get a little more structured. We're going to do 3 trainings a week. You guys don't have to show up for everything. It's going to be very structured, very available on the website and everything. But this, which is the Tuesday training at 11:30, is the broker licensee training. It's for any of you in the licensing program, getting licensed, want to be licensed, are licensed, doing anything related to licensing. We may not talk licensing topics, although I'm going to get a little more serious about talking those starting next week. And we're going to start right from the beginning of what you do when you're a new licensee. Kind of walk through an actual logical progression. And then Wednesdays, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 11:30. Wednesdays are going to be general questions, things that came up, stories, whatever blob we need to cover. I'll have a topic, but it may or may not be the topic we cover. It's going to be sort of the open mic night, I guess. And everything is open mic night. You can always ask questions, but I'm going to try to keep broker, agent, licensee to Tuesdays, off market to Thursdays, Wednesdays as open mic night. Anyway, what I want to start with today, though, is the tools we have available, because there's some pretty powerful tools. And covering a little bit of what the CRM will do, which it's being built out to give you guys access. Because the software I'm using, giving you guys access to that CRM is later. So we're building sort of a backdoor window that's going to work for that. But anyway, so what we have is a lot of very powerful tools. I'm going to start with the first one, which is the correct, not the first one, I'm going to start with really the last one, which is the Crexi Intelligence tool. And I'm going to present it here. And I am not giving a training on this today because I literally just got access to this yesterday. But this is the Crexi Intelligence tool. So Crexi is one of several, I'll call it MLSs for commercial properties. So this is your self-storage facilities. This is warehousing. This is everything. I mean, they do list a few they list multifamily 5+, but they don't list a lot of 1 to 4s. So understand, in the professional world of real estate, it makes little sense until you just sort of accept it. It makes no sense. Single family means 1, 2, 3, and 4 unit. Effectively, that's the definition for FHA, VA, and other loans like that. So when we talk multifamily, you and I will talk multifamily all the time about, is it a single or a multi? That's the colloquial multifamily. The technical multifamily is 5+, 5, 10, 5, 10, 15, 20, bigger properties. So, wow, I should have done that the other way. Okay, anyway. This is Crexi, and this is where they live. This is the back end. Consider Crexi Intelligence like the PropStream or the Batch Leads or the whatever tool you might want to write up for that. And this is Crexi Intelligence. And this is where you can do market reports. You can learn about different markets, and you can study markets and crime rates and populations. And it's going to run slowly because I'm doing a video live, and the processor just kind of blows its mind. Asset type, market, county, and there's instructional videos on here. I'm just showing you asking cap rates, sale cap rates, hospitality, industrial, mobile home park. You can see there's a lot of power in this. And you can do a lot of exporting. You can do a lot of broker tools in here, my listings, my contacts, if we were listing brokers. Search tools, save searches, save properties, recent activities, account. And really what we're doing here is we're searching for, usually what we're doing is we're saying, all right, tell me about Chicago. Now, we don't want to be, you can try it if you want, but as licensees, you're licensed in Pennsylvania. So for your license, unless you have another state license, that's your border. We can reciprocal to a few states, and you can cross license wherever the hell you want. But as a brokerage firm, we're Pennsylvania only. If you want to start moving into other states and you want us to go with you, we can do that. By the way, there are conversations trying to be scheduled right now. And actually, this reminds me, I have to do a quick thing here. So AAJANKE. Sorry. So we are in talks with, and I just had to send them a message because it's a little confusing. There's a national broker that's talking to me about possibly becoming a state broker, which would give us access to bringing agents on across the country. It would give us a lot of cool things. But there's been a little bit of a clown car show trying to figure out getting my actual appointment to have a conversation with them scheduled and whatever. So anyway, so right now our border for our licensing is Pennsylvania. So when we're researching in other states, as licensees, we're not covering it. We're covering it as wholesalers. But back to Crexi itself. So Crexi, we can do a lot of research. We can look into what loans do people have. Now, we aren't, that, unless you have a buyer. You have a buyer, that's great. Crexi.com front end, just the front end of the Crexi website, is an MLS search tool. There's Crexi, there's LoopNet, there's 10X, there's something else. There's a few others. It's a search tool. Brokers put listings on. Fine. You have a buyer, you find a thing here, you talk to the broker, you run it just like you were finding something on Flex MLS. You contact the broker, you don't contact the seller. Within Crexi Intelligence, we're primarily looking for things that don't have a broker yet. And we're going, hey, we're looking for warehouses in Inola, PA that fit these guidelines that maybe, and we can look up at what their loans are. They have a loan expiring, they have a loan renewing, they have a lot of equity, they've owned it too long, they're showing some, we can do motivated seller filtering to look for the type of thing we're looking for. And that's a more advanced conversation, but just basically that's what the Crexi tool is for. Okay. So we then have don't have the foggiest clue what's on there now. I'm not really sure what my screen is doing right now, so I'm just going to walk you through some of these while I figure out what in the living heck it's doing. So let me go over here. All right, so my keyboard has suddenly stopped working, which has happened before. So we might be without the keyboard for the rest of the show, which is too bad. Okay, good. It's not. That was some. I must have pushed some sort of a button that raised something. Anyway, so the next screen we have to go to is batch leads, which is one of our two residential. So, okay, besides Flex MLS, which if you're a Gorilla, you're a member of Gorilla Real Estate, you should be a member of the Scranton board and possibly your local board. And that's Flex MLS is their system. And I will teach you that really starting next week. I'll teach you that. But this is other tools we have to find things. So these are tools to find. These are just generally tools we have available. If you're a licensee and you're a member of Gorilla, you have paid a Flex MLS membership and you have access to Flex. And Flex is one of the standard tools for brokers. Batch leads is a very good tool for comping properties that you might find outside of our Flex MLS radius. As many of you know, MLS is a very myopic scenario, meaning it is a very how do I put this? Very fiefdom based, very the Scranton Board of Realtors, Hazelton, back in the day, and I'm talking like 7 years ago. Scranton Board of Realtors, Wilkes-Barre Board of Realtors, Hazelton Board of Realtors, Pocono Mountain Board of Realtors. They weren't regional boards, they were local boards. And until like a year or two ago, if you put a listing on what's the Scranton Board, which is really the Lackawanna County Board, but they just didn't change their name, it didn't show up in the Wilkes-Barre searches. You had to be a member of the Scranton Board to be able to see things listed in Scranton. Unless I'll remember, Wilkes-Barre and Scranton, 14 miles apart. Hazelton and Wilkes-Barre, 25 miles apart. 30 maybe, but whatever. Too close together to have that difference. It wasn't until Dan Taylor, my friend over at Scranton Board, got everyone together to combine these databases. So if we want to comp something outside the radius of like the 5 boards we're members of, this is where the tool comes in. You can put any address you want in here, anywhere in the country, and it'll show you comps and pictures. We have another one called PropStream. Does similar things like this, and this will give us. You can skip trace sellers. You can get some data on properties. You can say, show me sellers that have these motivations. They're behind their mortgage, they're behind their taxes, they're this, they're that, they're the other thing. You can do lots of searches, and I don't know if anyone's even on board here yet. So, okay, anyway. Yeah, so Batch Leads and PropStream are kind of neck and neck in terms of tools to search comparables, to find buyers, to search things outside of our MLS area. It's also a great way to get another viewpoint from within the MLS, although truthfully the MLS is always better. It's with more accurate data, but these are pretty good. You also then want to be able to look at your crime data, which is a tool like spotcrime.com. So if you're looking into a market that we're not familiar with on the crime data, spotcrime.com will tell you what the crimes are in the area. I just did this yesterday for a Philadelphia property. That's why you see this. You want to learn about crime. You can learn about, and I have a lot of links to this on the REI homepage website, the Gorilla website, which is currently being rebuilt, unfortunately. But they're there. They're just not as good as they're going to be. So we have a lot of tools like this to make our job easier when we're advising our clients. Another one that's important is floodsmart.gov. And there's a more direct link to this. This will take me a while to click through. But you're not coming here for flood insurance. You're coming here to find out what the flood zone is of your property. And I won't click through. I'll give you the direct link later. But you literally put in the address and it will show you the flood zone of the property you're interested in. Why is that important? Every single property in the country is in some flood zone. Is it underwater? No. Is it in a dangerous flood zone? Maybe not. But it has been classified by the government, although there is a classification called we don't know or we didn't look yet. But there's a map for everything. The maps that you want to be wary of, not don't do, but be wary of are the A maps. So if I go to flood zones and maps, flood zones and maps, did they actually make it that easy? Oh, of course they did. It literally takes like 4 clicks to find your way through. And this is why I have to anyway, we'll use this for now. Flood zone A. A is the one we're afraid of. I don't know why I just came up with Steve. Interesting. So now you're just having trouble connecting. That's what that beep was. All right. So A is the highest risk of flooding. So if it's A anything, AE, AX, A whatever the other choices are. A means means let my client know. Why? Number one, they might get wet. Done. Number two, if they have a mortgage, they're going to be required to carry flood insurance. I am literally right now selling a property that is in a flood zone and needs flood protection, basically. So, so that's kind of where that's at this point, basically. Now you're also sending the link when this is done. I'm going through some of our tools here.
Okay.
And I'm talking about flood zones and what zones are important. And I'll be giving on the new website, which is coming out probably September 1st-ish.
Okay.
REI homepage will have direct links to all this stuff. So it's Crexi, which by the way, we do have Crexi online, and I did email you to log into Crexi. Both Crexi regular and Crexi Intelligence. The login is Crexi Intelligence. That's what we were talking about yesterday. Crexi regular is just the search engine, just find listed properties. Not that interesting, but it's there anyway.
Okay.
And we also talk about batch leads and PropStream. Although only Ryan and I are keeping PropStream as your password, but batch leads and PropStream, whatever, kind of how these tools work. This is sort of like what tools we have.
Mm-hmm.
FloodSmart is, and this isn't on the wholesale side so necessary, but if you're representing a buyer, it is really guiding them. So you take a look at the flood zone. Now, important, guys, we have to remember that we are not, first of all, we never want to be liable. It's sadly one of the first things in this business is don't get blamed for something. So like we don't tell them, oh, that's a bad flood zone. We advise them to look into the flood zone. If they say, well, is it in a bad flood zone? We say, well, I took a look and I think I found this, but you should check as well. You should and there's three parts of that warning. You should check yourself, which most people aren't going to do. You should talk to your lender and talk to your insurance agent. And do this not only verbally, but do this in writing. Anytime you're warning somebody of something, you're putting the onus on them, which it should be. We are not experts in searching flood zones. I've done it here and I've been wrong. I'm selling a property right now because when I looked at the flood zone, I thought I was just out of it. Turns out the map the insurance company uses or lender uses is a little bit different, and I was just in it. So that was a $2,000 swing in my annual expenses because I had to pick up flood insurance on a house that's built 6 feet above the ground and will never actually get wet anyway. But even if it did, it's only going to be the basement, whatever. So it's like actual technical risk, yes. Physical risk, no. So when we're giving this advice, we're saying, hey, we're checking it for them. Saying, hey, you know what? I took a look at the flood zone, but you should talk to this is what I found. You should talk to your lender and your insurance company and see if you're good, and see if that's a risk you're willing to accept. So floodsmart.gov, but when you go to FloodSmart, it's a horrible website. And I'll give you the direct link because I can never find it. And really, this will tell you Zone A is problem. Zone V is like storm waves and stuff. It's all written on here. Most zones besides A in this region here are not a problem, meaning you won't be required to get flood insurance. Another thing you want to tell, and like I have flood insurance on all my properties, even if they're not in a flood zone, because if you're not in a flood zone, you're talking like $300 a year. So why not? The other one, which I don't think we carry as much as we really should, is, and this is a state program called Mine Subsidence Insurance. Advise your clients always to get Mine Subsidence Insurance. And Tuesdays are becoming our sort of broker talk. And then Wednesdays are sort of open mic, and everything's open mic night, but Wednesday at 11:30 is open mic night. Thursdays at 11:30 is off-market investor stuff. So that's kind of what I'm trying to standardize to. But mine subsidence insurance is exactly what it sounds like. You pay something stupid to the state, and I got to admit I'm probably not doing, and I'm probably giving advice I don't follow. But if the ground opens up and swallows your house into a mine, this will cover only the structure itself. It will not cover your stuff. So you lose your family jewels, too bad. But if the state has to come and fill the mine with concrete, or they have to give you the value of your property because your house is gone, then that's that, basically. That's what that's for. The other one you want to always advise clients to get is water and sewer line insurance, either through their insurance company or through their water company. The reason for that is the gas company controls the gas line and is responsible for the gas line up into the meter on the side of the house. So if there's a problem from the meter to the street, it's the gas company's problem. And this is a local answer. That answer will change in different markets in different parts of the state even. The electric company in this part of Pennsylvania is responsible for the weatherhead, the thing at the top of the wire above the meter, street. Or underground, it gets weird. That's a different question to be asked on every property.
Right.
The water and sewer line, the water and sewer company's responsibility stops at the street. So if there's a problem between your water meter in your basement and the street, it's still your problem. And not shockingly enough, if you got to dig 30 feet, that's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
So always encourage your clients to carry that on your own home. Make sure it's carried, even if you're a tenant. If you're a tenant, maybe not, but have a conversation with your landlord. But basically, now that may be different in Philly, maybe different in different markets, but up here, always advise that. So this is sort of like things to advise your clients to make sure they know and are doing.
Okay.
And anyway, so though these are some of the tools, and then we also are within our Zoho our Zoho system. Zoho is our CRM, and this is what's basically ready to show, but we're still building out some back end pieces. We have a lot of calculators, a lot of calculator tools, and I'm going to show you the ugly versions. Oops. So this is the back end of Zoho. I'm going to show you some of the ugly versions of the calculators and tools while we're here, and also the sort of pretty version of this is the dashboard that you'll be interfacing with a lot, and or interfacing with some, maybe not a lot. But there are tools and calculators on here: rehab estimators, deal calculators, key investment market intelligence tools. This is why it's taking so long, because we're building a lot of this stuff. But these are tools to make it easier for you guys to take the research you're doing on batch leads and whatever, answer some questions, and the system will pull out some, I'll call them vague numbers, because until you talk to Ryan and or myself, or on the self-storage side, me or Mark, it's not official, but it'll kind of give you an indicator, kind of give you an idea. So we're working on building out these kinds of tools. And this is all part of our Asset Mastermind online community as well, and our educational community and stuff. And then we also have the really ugly versions of the tools, which are spreadsheets, Excel spreadsheets, which is what I'll be giving you guys, which is what we'll use until we have the final versions built. But basically, that's sort of, you're kind of here in the dark while we're building stuff out. So these are some of the back-end tools, and I'm not covering the most important one for those of you who are licensed, which is anyways, it's Scranton MLS. I can't remember my login, but whatever. The Flex MLS system. And Nair, you and I have to talk about MLS because of exactly what you want to do in that direction. That's when you're getting a license and you don't live in this area, we have a separate conversation to have. But that's not a scary conversation, just a tactical how it works.
Okay.
But anyway, so and I also mentioned earlier on that I am trying to arrange a conversation, and I have to admit that this national brokers that approached me to be their state broker, um, okay. Sorry, I forgot to do one thing. So anyway, so we may be teaming up with a national. We may be teaming up with a national broker, which will give us a lot more training opportunities and give us the ability to bring on agents statewide. Actually, not just statewide, nationally. We can do statewide, but they've been a little bit challenging to actually reach and have a communication with. So basically, I don't know where that's going. But the point is that we will be, basically, we're your state broker. Your license is good in the state. Nationally, we may or may not have this tie-in, which will give us a lot of interesting opportunities. But this company's been a bit of a challenge to even get a conversation set up. So, all right. So that's basically what I pretty much wanted to cover today, was sort of the tools that we have available and the tools that you'll be working with and through. And as licensees, we have to remember, and this is the switch for those of you who are both on the wholesale and the license side. And I know I covered this with you, Nair. I just want to remind everyone, when we talk single family, means units 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's basically things that are workable by FHA, VA, and USDA loans. Those three pretty much don't touch the larger commercials. We might talk about multifamily, colloquially, it is a single family house or there are multiple units in it. But on a technical standard, single is 1, 2, 3, 4. Multi is 5+. Mixed uses, there's different types in there. There might be mobile home park with self-storage. There might be residential with commercial, whatever. And there's where the different tools kind of come in. Come in to be whatever, to be, that's where the different tools come into play. And then the last thing, when we are acting in the hat of, and this is a very important sort of gray area. So January 2025, SB 1173 became law, which is the Pennsylvania wholesale law, which says wholesaling of units 1, 2, 3, and 4 requires a license. SB 1173 requirement has a 30-day right of rescission for the seller to pull out for any reason whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And lately we've had a couple, as Nair knows, pull out for any reason whatsoever. And some of the reasons have been they committed fraud in signing it and the person who actually owns the property doesn't want to do it. Yeah, that was a fun one. But anyway, and as I'm doing this, I'm taking notes of things that I need to do today that I forgot about. Like pay for that so the person gets their deposit back because it's not their fault that this person lied to us. Then there's traditional listing, which is MLS listing, 6% commission, 5% commission, yada, yada, yada. Okay, fine. Pretty simple. And then there's what we're doing now instead of SB 1173 contracts. We're doing net listing agreements. And we're literally telling people, we are your listing agent. We are not your seller. We're not your buyer. We're doing this to get you a more aggressive price, and we're charging you a $10,000 fee. Like, we're just bald-faced telling them this is what's happening. And that way it's a listing, they can't change their mind. But it's also not 6% of $20,000. It's like, listen, you want our help to make this happen, this is what it's got to be. So, so basically we're doing a lot of those. So if you're licensed and we're doing 1, 2, 3, 4 units, and we'll probably still use the net listing even on the bigger ones. If you're licensed and you're doing wholesale, we're probably using a net listing tool, which gives us the authority to put it on the MLS. It doesn't give us the authority to close the deal. We are now their fiduciary. We represent them. We're actually their agents, even though we've previously agreed that we pretty much control the deal.
Mhm.
It's so when we are agents acting under 1173 as the buyers with the right to resell, the right to assign, we're not their fiduciary. We don't owe our confidentiality to them. Even though we're licensed, we owe reasonable care and concern, but we don't owe that level. Once we do a net listing, they're our client. They're internal to us and everybody else is external, unless we sign dual agency paperwork, whatever. So there's bumps on the road. We'll walk you through it, but the reason we do it is to avoid that 30-day right to change your mind. Now, obviously, in the case of the gentleman in Philadelphia, who I think we told you about this Nair, he signed the agreement, meaning our sales agreement, in his mother's name.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when it came time to have mom sign it, he's like, she didn't want to. And he's like, well, she never signed it. And I don't owe you anything. I said, well, kind of, except you admitted to us in text message that you signed it without her knowledge. So I said, I'm not an attorney, but that sounds like the word fraud to me. So anyway, so basically, that's what we're going with most of the time in the paperwork. Is there's listings, 1173, or non-1173 wholesale for land 5+, and net listing probably for the 1 through 4s. So that kind of covers really all I wanted to cover today in terms of the sort of broker side training. You know, Nair, anybody have any questions? Nair's the only one on live. Everybody else that typically watches afterwards. So I guess kind of, you got any questions for me?
I mean, no, because we pretty much covered everything like yesterday, and you know,
Okay.
as far as like everything else, like, all right, I'll just keep you posted on leads like normal, same old, and everything like that. So,
All right, yeah, I am cutting a little short because I'm actually closing on a loan today, and they
Mhm.
need to change the loan documents and blah blah blah. So I'm kind of running through it. So I emailed you Crexy login, Crexy Intelligence, I think it's called.
okay, I see it right here. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah. So basically, that's kind of
And this is what I can use for the multifamily or
multifamilies, anything commercially related.
Okay.
And it might even what am I trying to say? It might even Crexy might include some smaller multifamily, like 1, 2, 3, and 4 rentals. It might include some other categories that I'm not aware of because I have not used it yet. But basically, it's primarily for things like commercial, larger multifamilies, warehousing, self-storage, probably land. It's not really designed for the what do you call it? It's not really designed for the it's not really designed for the 1 through 4 units. However else you want me to say it. That's not its typical.
Got you.
So yeah.
So I'll get started with Crexy after my doctor's appointment, because I had a doctor's appointment at like 1:30. So.
And I also forwarded you over something where you, me, and Mark are gonna work together on scheduling a training with Crexy.
Okay.
Where all of us can appear together and all of us can be, whatever. We can all be together on that.
Indeed. Okay.
So we'll obviously we'll chat kind of offline about getting that done.
Yeah. All right.
And we'll go from there.
Okay, we'll do.
All right, sounds good, man. Thanks.
Okay.
Good luck.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye bye.